Maren?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so first up, order of agenda is
So are you bringing to order the meeting?
order of the meeting, whatever the agenda. Proposed agenda item is 6:30, number A, board elections. Who wants to be chair?
I nominate Mr. Montanari to be chair.
I thought you liked me, Lisa. I thought you liked me.
I do like you. I like you so much, and I think you do such a marvelous job that I think you should be chair again.
Anyone have anything to say about that? Yes, no? You got to vote me in. I can't just
Is
take.
there a second?
Is there a second? All those in favor of me continuing as chair signify by saying aye.
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 Yes.
I had to drag that out of you, huh, Anna? All right, how about vice chair? Delisa, I know you're really busy. Anna, I know you're really busy. Jeff, are you interested in vice chair?
I would be interested only if Anna is not.
Anna, are you ready to abdicate the throne?
There's no abdication. I mean, honestly, I really think that from a succession planning perspective, that everybody should be chair at some point, because we all bring different perspectives and have different styles and whatnot. So I've been vice chair, I've been chair. So Jeff, if you would like to take on that role, that responsibility, please do.
Okay.
All right, so I've nominated Jeff. Who wants to second it? Delisa? Just nod your head, Delisa.
Yes, I will second.
I second. Okay, all those in favor, by saying aye. Bartlett?
Aye.
Anna?
Yes.
Delisa?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. All right, so there's chair, vice chair. Who wants to be clerk? We can't stick Bartlett with that one.
Well, I did explain to Bartlett that often the new member is appointed the clerk, so they can see some of what the planning board office does with the hearing notices and the decisions and all that. But
my experience as clerk was that Maren makes it very easy.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So I don't think Bartlett should feel, like he's going to be constrained by responsibility with that.
Okay. So do you want to make a motion to have Bartlett as clerk?
I so move.
I'll second that. All those in favor? Anna?
Yes.
Bartlett, wait, is Bartlett? I didn't hear a, yeah, okay, I would do it.
Oh, he didn't get a choice.
Oh,
No choice.
Low man on the totem pole.
I'm used to being railroaded into things.
okay, I'm an aye.
I'm an aye. Jeff's an aye.
Yes.
We'll get a stamp. You want a stamp for Bartlett too, or how do you want to handle it, Mara? You'll get him a stamp?
let's see. I know that Bartlett's used to be in town hall quite often, so I'm comfortable. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll work with him on what's needed.
Great. And then the other stuff is MPIC.
Yeah, the planning board has appointments to the Master Plan Implementation Committee, the Transportation Advisory Council, both a member and an alternate, and Community Preservation Committee. A lot of board members serve on a lot of other committees, but these are the seats that the planning board appoints.
Yeah.
Don't we also have transportation and affordable housing?
Yep, Master Plan Implementation Committee is one.
Right.
Transportation Advisory Council, both a member and an alternate for that,
Right.
and Community Preservation Committee. So those three committees.
Oh, it's so, but I thought we also had somebody on affordable housing.
There's two of us now, and I know
Right,
Anna
but
affordable too.
right, but that's not a planning board appointment.
Okay.
Right, those are appointed by the select board.
Anna, MPEC, are you still on that?
Yes.
Do you want to stay on it?
Actually, I was going to ask what the situation is with the CPC.
Well, I'm on the CPC and have been for a while. So you'd be, I don't know.
And so Bartlett, technically you're the representative from,
I'm the representative from housing, from the Housing Authority to the CPC.
yeah, okay.
Andy,
All right.
Can I put this in the mix? My wife is on MPIC and I really don't want to serve on, I don't think the both of us need to serve on that committee. So, on the other hand, I do want to, I didn't have a committee assignment this past year and I felt sort of guilty about it. So,
Well, if you would, I mean, I'd be happy if Anna's tired of MPIC, I'd be happy moving back over to MPIC since Littleton Station is gonna have to kind of come back to life and it's part of the master plan. And then I would move off of transportation if somebody's interested in transportation.
I would do that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. They're really making some great inroads. No pun intended.
Gary, who's in charge of this, he was good at impact. He was doing a great job. I get CC'd and all of that. He is doing a lot.
It's
Okay.
amazing.
So I would definitely be, a member, the transportation member, I guess.
Okay. And so that leaves Bartlett, you want to do CPC still for double dip for both of us?
Well, Anna, do you want to be the CPC rep and we can both go to CPC meetings?
Sure, that sounds fine.
We don't meet very often.
Is what's his name still chairman of it?
Yeah,
Mitt
Mitt Romney. I mean, Mitt Wanzer.
Wanzer. Right.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
It's amazing. Mitt Romney is,
Wow.
Yeah, and so that just leaves us with an alternate for transportation.
I'll be the alternate. The heck. I get all this anyway. The heck. I make it look so easy anyway, so I get time.
There you go.
All right. All right. Anything else? That it for board business?
Well,
Does that mean?
yeah, we got a whole bunch of board business at 8:30, but that's
I know that's so.
it for appointments.
So can we get the 6:30 out of the way?
Well, the first 6:30, yeah.
Well, the first is 6:30B, the replacing the word highway department with Department of Public Works.
Yeah, would you like me to read the public hearing notice for that? It'll take longer than the hearing.
Sure.
Okay, the Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 3rd, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. to consider a zoning bylaw amendment as described below, sponsored by the Planning Board according to Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 5. Rename the Highway Department to Department of Public Works. This proposed amendment would replace the words Highway Department with Department of Public Works where it appears in the zoning bylaw. Proposed bylaw amendment is on file with the town clerk and planning board offices and can be viewed during our office hours or online at the town website. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed zoning amendment should appear at the time and place designated or provide written comments by June 2 if possible. Then it goes on to explain the access to town offices was limited when we first posted this hearing notice, but we're doing this public hearing via Zoom. It's also streamed live on LCTV. Any questions, please call me or email me with any questions. Signed, Jeff Yates, clerk.
Great.
So the select board has brought forward the town meeting article to change the wording of highway department to Department of Public Works. It appears in the zoning bylaw a few times. It's a simple ministerial update. There's no reorganization behind this. It just formalizes that we have a DPW director, Chris Goddard, but no DPW department without this change.
Okay, so we just have to endorse it and send it along to town meeting, correct?
Correct.
Board,
No,
any questions
have
on this?
Yep, Sandy Clyde has a question.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Sandy Clyde, 12 Walnut Trail. I'm having a little problem with this article actually for town meeting. Town of Littleton does not have a DPW. We do not have a Department of Public Works. We have a highway department that runs a transfer station and employs 2 park employees that mow all the fields. That does not make a DPW. Department of Public Works usually has the water department, sewer, cemetery, highway, and parks department. We have all separate entities on those. We do, the only thing that falls under, we have a highway department that does take care of the transfer station. So this assignment, just because he has a job title, does not create that department. So I have an issue with that piece.
Okay.
Okay, the only thing I would add as a response is that the town is not proposing to adopt Mass General Law that does that reorganization piece. That would be a future town meeting vote if and when necessary.
So we're just basically consolidating, doing a name change and consolidating what we normally we're doing now.
Just doing the name change.
It's not going to affect the highway department and what they do. It's not going to affect the water department. The electric is a separate entity anyway. We're just being, Sandy, we're just being asked to endorse it and send it off to town meeting. I think if you have a concern, it probably should be addressed at town meeting floor. It's going to go to town meeting anyway, whether we endorse it or not.
Correct, but may I speak, if you don't mind? The issue is with changing a department name, again, you're creating an illusion, actually, that we actually have a Department of Public Works, when in fact we do not. And the chances are of us actually getting having a Department of Public Works is slight to none, because the light department is not going to give up the water department, and they are not going to give up the sewer. The highway department did have the chance to take over the sewer, but in my recollection, decided that it should go to the water department, which is the appropriate place for it to be. So by endorsing this, you're changing wording that really isn't appropriate at this moment in time until we actually have a Department of Public Works. And yes, I do plan on speaking on it at town meeting. So,
Right. Well, as far as we're concerned, we're asked to vote on it before it goes to town meeting. Just I guess my theory is if you want to bring it up and you feel strongly about it, debate it on town meeting floor, and let the rest of the residents in the town decide. We're not talking about any more money. We're not talking about pay grades or any else. Just a name change, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So, is there anyone else in the audience, Mara, that has their hands up as well?
No more hands raised, no.
Okay. So Sandy, why don't we just, like I said, it's whether we endorse it or not, it's gonna go to town meeting. Why don't we just send it along, and obviously you'll be speaking about it at town meeting floor, and see what happens there. There's not much we can add. It's not much we can add to it. It's not really our. We're gonna have we don't need any more.
but you don't have to endorse it depending on how you feel. But I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
I'll ask the board. I'll pull the board for you. Does the board want to take a vote on this? Do we want to? And excuse me. support it and bring it to town meeting floor, or we want to just say no action was taken? Does anyone feel strongly about it that they don't want to vote on it? Jeff, do you have a?
I appreciate the comments. I don't think the highway department is descriptive either because it maintains things beyond highways. So I just think it's words, and I think that every municipality should have. I don't think there's one particular definition of what a public works department does. I don't know why this is being promoted. I'm with you though. Let's take it to town meeting, and if people don't go for it, they don't go for it.
Okay.
But I think we should send it along.
Okay. So you'll vote in favor. Bartlett, what do you think?
Well, I want to know who's proposing this change, and I don't understand the reason for making a change.
Yep, it's my understanding that the request came from the select board as they oversee the highway department.
Well, I don't see any particular reason for us to vote in support of it.
Okay. Delisa?
I don't really have an opinion. I mean, I'm fine voting in support of it. I'm kind of with Jeff. It's words.
Okay. Anna?
So I would say that there's a lack of understanding about why the select board made this decision. Sandy, a question for you. Did you raise this concern with them?
It actually was just on the warrant, and I didn't notice it until after the fact. And because I don't watch every minute of the select board meeting, so it was never brought up until it was put on town meeting on the articles and voted in. So they really didn't give a chance for it to be brought up. And I'm pretty sure it's just going to be put into the consent form when it goes to town meeting. So it will have, I'll just have to put a hold on it.
Okay. All right, well,
Thank you.
what was that? Anyway, so we should probably vote on it. I'll let, all those in favor of sending this along for town meeting debate, I'll ask you to signify by saying aye. Jeff?
Aye.
Delisa?
I
Bartlett?
No,
Anna?
I'm going to say, what was our other option? To not have a,
Not vote, not supported it.
well, it's more to, yeah, it's more to not take an opinion on it.
So
So
you're going to abstain?
I guess so. Yeah. So you've got 3, 1, and 1. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll vote. How do you know I'm going to vote?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Just for that, I'm going to vote in favor of it. No, I agree. We should hear this on town meeting floor. So I'll vote in favor of it. That the planning board supported it to bring it to town meeting floor. So 3, 1, and 1. And Sandy, you're more than welcome to speak your piece at town meeting floor.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have 745 A now near 119 Tehadawon. This is the lot that the Affordable Housing Trust is getting for the money that, correct me if I'm wrong.
This is the lot on the Brownswoods property, MVP grant that the town was awarded, included funds for creating this lot, hiring the engineer to do the surveying and create this A&R plan. And that's what's in front of the board. The decision by the Affordable Housing Trust, whether or not to purchase the property, is still a little bit up in the air. That's what that discussion will follow, but that's the intent is to go through with that.
Bartlett, correct me if I'm wrong. We have to have this in order to get the $800,000 grant.
The town has received the grant, and we have to. I would recommend that the board endorse the A&R. Yeah.
Okay, so at least we're doing what the spirit of the grant.
Right, and exactly what the Affordable Housing Trust chooses to do with the lot is not tied into this A&R decision.
It's just to create the A&R.
Correct.
Is this an identified piece of property?
Yeah, here, if I can, I'll share my screen. Let's see, share that one, share. So let's see. Sorry, the locust plan is very small, but that should help a little bit. Harwood and Tehadawon, the Mary Brown parcel is this entire parcel here. The lot that would be formed with this A&R cuts lot A off from the remaining Mary Brown parcel. This is just an easement existing easement that goes through the Browns Woods parcel.
Okay.
So it's lot A over here that's being created.
And the rest of it, so what's it, 1.5?
1.57, 1.6 acres.
And the remaining 22 stays with the town as open space?
Correct.
22.54 acres. Does anyone have their hands up on this one, Maren?
Well, no, I can't see that part. No questions from participants.
Anything from the board? Doesn't look it. I see a lot of blank faces.
So tell us a little bit about all the typical questions about an A&R. So in terms of, I mean, it's just a lot, so we actually have to be able to then create an entryway onto the lot. I mean, where are we with it?
The state law allows the board to look at area and frontage.
Yeah, so it has more than 150 feet. It's a full frontage lot. It's on a approved way to Hattawan. If and when it is decided to be built, they'll have to show the, obviously it's sewage disposal system, the uplands, all of that. This is just an A&R lot, and there's no guarantee that it's buildable or non-buildable, but my understanding is that the A&R that they were giving the Affordable Housing Trust should be a buildable lot, and some minimal testing was, I'm assuming, was done on it.
I would hope so. I mean,
No testing has been done. No testing has been done.
Testing has been done when it was going to be a subdivision, and if you
Well,
yeah.
correct. No recent, the town has not done any recent septic testing on it. Correct.
So we're saying that we could potentially be giving the Affordable Housing Trust a non-buildable lot?
We're asking the planning board to vote on creating a lot.
an A&R.
Whether the Affordable Housing Trust chooses to go through with the purchase of the lot is a separate decision by the Affordable Housing Trust.
So when you're on that in another next week, you can discuss that. How's that? All right, but so all we're being asked to do is create the lot.
Mm-hmm.
We'll decide what happens after that.
I have a, I think I'm muted.
No.
Okay. This came up with the Grimes Lane, and I think maybe let's just go back to the A&R. There's approval not there. A&R stands for approval not required, and so why are we having approval required if it's approval not required?
Because we've always signed the lots.
Okay.
We signed the MyLaws. We've done it for 50 years, way before my time.
Right.
We've always signed A&R lots.
And that's fine. So this, part of the hearing is just to more or less inform us of what this particular proposal is. There's really no basis on which we could say no.
If we choose not to, then they would get it in 21 days.
Right.
So normally the planning board has always voted in affirmative unless there's a reason, unless there was a wetlands issue or an issue with the roadway, whether it was approved way or not, things like that have popped up. But obviously we all know Tehadawon exists. It's been there for a few years. So there really is areas there, everything's there. So there's no reason for us not to approve the A&R.
And just to go back to your previous comment for everyone else's, if we did not approve it at this meeting, it would automatically be approved in 21 days.
Right.
Right, at which point the town clerk would contact planning board members for signatures on the A&R or provide a certification that 21 days had lapsed and record the A&R with that certification.
Okay.
We like to do it in-house so that we get a look at it. Otherwise, people would stop coming to us with an A&R, so we wouldn't see them until
Yeah, no, that's fine.
town clerk to take care of them. That's really our job, so. I'll entertain a motion to approve the A&R lot A on the Hattawan.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Jeff,
Aye.
Anna,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes,
Delisa,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, so that takes care of our 6:45. Oh, we're 3 minutes early. Wow. So, any other issues, nothing, or we're gonna hold everything off till after 8 o'clock, yeah, Maren?
After,
Well, I have a question for you for the next 3 minutes. Do you want Bartlett to start signing everything, or do you want me to still docu-sign everything?
yeah, that question will come up under board business. Need
I had 3
to
minutes.
identify for the first meeting after town elections, the accounting office or finance department sends out a memo to each board asking who's going to be signing the payroll and the bills. So if the board wishes to designate one person to do that, you can do that. And that's worked extremely simply through DocuSign, like you mentioned. So we could continue to do that, or you could still go back to requiring a majority of planning board members to sign the bills and the payroll. It's up to you.
Okay, so we'll handle that after 8 o'clock. All right. Anything else? Anything else that we need to discuss in the next 2 minutes?
So I had an engineer call me today with 2 new A&Rs, property line changes, nothing that's difficult to do, but I asked him to hold off until after June 14th to submit those because of the 21-day time frame for the board to sign them. The other
Okay.
option is to just add a quick meeting sometime over the next couple of weeks, another planning board meeting.
No, we're gonna try to keep the summer to 1.
Mhm.
Well, while we have a minute, do you guys want to discuss meetings, or do you want to wait till 8 o'clock? Do you want to continue with Zooms? Do you want to start meeting live? Do you want to do this through the summer? Or is that an 8 o'clock discussion as well, Maren?
No, that's a good discussion for now. With the state of emergency lifting on June 15th, we have the ability to go back to in-person meetings. The governor has filed legislation to allow some remote meetings or remote portion of meetings. But until the legislature acts on that, we're a little bit in limbo as to how meetings should happen. Personally, I'm hoping for some combination of remote plus in-person, a hybrid meeting to allow the expanded public input that we got during the Zoom meetings, but to be able to, sit in the same room when the board is making decisions.
Okay, well,
So,
I think if we keep it the way it is right now for July, and then we'll see what happens in August, is the board okay with that?
Yes.
At least for the next meeting, we'll continue with Zoom.
what I would recommend is if we have any public hearings that are continued tonight, is to announce that they will be either in room 103 if allowed, or by Zoom.
Via
And those
Zoom.
details we'll publish on the agenda when that's posted,
Okay,
just to cover any continued hearing.
okay. Well, we're now,
Sorry, it's overly complicated.
No, I get that, and I'm just trying to see the board's flavor, but especially being the summer, you know,
Yeah,
trying to keep it to one meeting a month because everyone plans for the summer, and I don't want to rush into opening it up until we have meetings that make sense to have the public in. You know, most stuff right now we're doing is still working pretty good through Zoom, I guess. Anyway, okay, so we have a 7 o'clock continued public hearing, modified Aquifer District Special Permit, site plan review, including fuel storage and hazardous materials for 30 Taylor Street. I see Tom Bigelow here. I see Sherry. And anyone else?
yeah, Tom brought his team from Green International. I think the board has not met his entire team yet that's been working on this, and I believe that Sherry has some updates for the board as well.
Do you want to give us a quick, it's been a while and we have a new member here, so can you give us the Reader's Digest version of what we're talking about and maybe throw a plan up there so everyone can see it? Somebody.
Yep. Yeah, the plans are not legible at this scale, but
So I'll just give you it's the old Louis Page building down the depot between Taylor Street and the railroad tracks, right after a little bit down past Erickson's antique stove shop. I know it as Louis Page. 40 years. I used to do business at Louis Page's. It was a warehouse. You could go in and buy screen materials. You could buy all kinds of stuff. There was a couple of metal buildings, both a rural kind of warehouse. Fencing. It was really big on farm fencing and things like that. And so this is a modification to what was a 40-year-old site out there. Anyway.
Yep, and the applicant chose to, rather than withdraw and reapply, so Bartlett could sit on this to move forward with the continued public hearing. So there are 4 board members available for this this discussion.
That's not it. That's just a regulator. Okay, is someone going to present?
Well, I'm here. I don't know if John Field is here. Basically, we're at the point where, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. Where Green International has filed with the board its peer review. And as I understand it from a discussion with the engineer, John Field, and the applicant, most of what's on here is housekeeping that John Field is prepared to accomplish. There were a few more substantial items that I wanted to have board input on before we go back and start modifying the plans to satisfy the comments of Green. So if I could tell you that this is an application to change the existing stormwater to a different system, which has been reviewed, and that's above my pay grade. That's been in front of the board. The engineers in Green have looked at that. And as part of that proposal, the applicant is looking to add some parking and storage areas, which have been described to this board, and to maybe in the entry and exit, make it cleaner and neater to get in and out of the site. But all of those things will not increase the impervious area above the limit of the Aquifer Special Permit District. So I think the critical things here are, as Green points out, one of them is the high groundwater. It's under the word site plan, and it's number 4 on the Green comment form. And I think what I'm going to do is let Green's people speak to that and to maybe any other areas of significant impact. And then I'll try to answer what I can and address what I can.
Sure. Mr. Montanari and the rest of the board. I have Jim Thorne here as well. He was the lead engineer on the peer review. So Jim, why don't you just give them a brief synopsis of what we did? And I think that was one of the comments we were going to discuss anyway. So Jim, why don't you take it away?
Okay. So like Cheryl said, most of the comments, seem like they could be taken care of. There were just a few that seemed significant that we wanted to bring up to the board. So one was showing a defined construction limit line, just because it is within, the property is within a 100-foot buffer and a 200-foot riverfront area. So that could trigger Conservation Commission review. The high groundwater table, or the seasonal high groundwater. So test pits were taken outside the bylaws required timeframe, and they were taken in 2014. And the separation of groundwater between the subsurface system and the seasonal high groundwater is basically right at the required minimum. And then on the whole right side of the property, they are clearing a bunch of trees, and that whole area is going to be now gravel, and they're doing a very steep slope to the back of these properties. And it doesn't seem like they're continuing some kind of privacy screening all the way around. So it's not clear what kind of buffer they are providing. We provided we looked at the stopping site distance at both the driveways as requested, and they seemed adequate. Their current building setbacks do not meet like under existing conditions, but there is no proposed building, so we felt that was fine, but wanted to bring to the attention of the board. Monitoring wells should be constructed and coordinating with the town of Littleton. And then we just had additional stormwater calculation comments, which might result in basically a larger system. And that's pretty much the gist of our comments.
So the existing that was there was just infiltration underneath the gravel that was already there, right? This is an improvement as to what was already out there, correct? It's going to have bays and filtration and that kind of thing, right? As opposed to just look like the old plan looked like just a trench out there, right? Some gravel.
Right. They basically just had a depression in the ground, and we actually had a site visit, and we went out there, and there was standing water. So it didn't look like it was fully infiltrating and acting like it should be. So that's why we were a little concerned with the seasonal high groundwater table, and whether if you put this in the exact same spot, is it going to infiltrate and work properly?
Now, as far as the screening, it's you want to screen between the new parking lot and the railroad tracks and the people on the other side of the railroad tracks. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. I think it's 3 abutters over there, and yeah.
Sherry, is there room there to keep some of the existing topography out there to kind of?
If there is, we'll keep it, and if not, we'll certainly put up something like an arborvitae. That's not it. We're not opposed to that.
Okay.
For the 3 abutters to the railroad track, it doesn't seem to make any sense.
Well, no, but you have abutters on the other side of the railroad tracks too.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's a long, narrow site. I don't want to do it across the whole back of the site. Just
no, but I think the whole back of I think if I remember correctly, it's mostly big metal buildings, so they're gonna screen it, the buildings themselves. But are we to the point where you guys can kind of work this out and come up with a plan that when we get it back in like a month's time, we can have it pretty much all resolved between you and ready for conditions of approval? Tom, do you think we could get there in a month?
It seems that way. There was some correspondence with the engineer this week. It seems like the big question was the need for the additional test pits. That is something we recommend the board require. But of course, that is the board's decision. And I think to answer your question, yes, in the next month or so, we, or by the next meeting, I should say, we should be able to work out most of the details, because they are really more technical engineering related details that may result in a larger system. But by and large, I think the proposal seems like it can work if the comments are addressed.
Does the board have any questions? Anybody? I don't want to hog all the time. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question about the clearing. On the plan, how far down does the clearing extend that you referred to, the tree clearing?
Anybody?
Yeah, Jim, can you answer that from reviewing the plan? I don't have it in front of me.
Here, can I share my screen? Let me know if you can see my screen. Can everyone see it?
Yep, we can see it now.
Okay. So, see these little clouded lines right here? So
Yeah.
basically, yeah, actually I can try to mark it up for you. Basically, this whole area is all wooded right now, and it's going to be completely cleared out. And so these are the three properties that I was kind of talking about. You can kind of see their property lines. So this is like right in their backyard, and this is going to be completely cleared out, and it's going to be a storage area.
So they have called one of those abutters called in our first hearing when we opened the hearing and was very concerned about that. Can you leave a buffer, or Sherry, can they leave a buffer there?
Yeah, I'll make sure that that we can put that on the plan. I'll make that note.
Even if it's 20 to 30 feet of non-cleared vegetation.
Well, certainly, non-cleared vegetation. I don't know yet, the amount, but we'll certainly sit down and do that and talk to the people at Green about it.
Yeah, why don't you show us some sort of plan that shows some sort of plantings out there to,
Yep, no problem. Or remaining, or not to be removed.
correct. That'd be great.
Yeah.
And just for me to be clear, because it's such a small scale, the bank that's shown at the perimeter of the property is from the abutters down or the abutters up? It says 105, 10. Yeah, okay, so it's down. Okay,
It's down.
and they're 1 foot contours.
Right.
So
And-
they're actually cutting back. Yeah, I sort of have a little problem with that, cutting back to the property line.
Okay, I've got it.
And
I've
this
got
is
it.
going to be like a steep 1-to-1 bouldered slope. I can show you the detail that they have. So this is the detail that they have, although it doesn't appear on the plans that there are trees and a privacy fence along the butters. But this is essentially what it's going to look like. It's a 1-to-1 slope. And then it seemed like the abutters was basically like right here.
Is that?
If it was done according to that detail, that would be better. I mean, that would be responsive to the neighbor's concern, the fence, the arborvitae. I mean, Mark, I would rather their budget for planting go to these direct abutters than to the people across from the railroad tracks.
There's only one abutter on the side, right? The abutters on the front are all, it's the road.
Well, no, there's 3 or 4 abutters. As the road bends, there are abutters directly on that property line between Taylor Street and the property line.
Okay. So this goes behind them?
Yes. They will be affected. Where they had a wooded area, they're going to have a gravel area that's
yeah, with the trains running right behind it. Okay, yeah. Show us what you can do to minimize the impact of the residents around it.
No problem with that. I want to return to the seasonal testing. I want to try to avoid that if we can.
Guess you're gonna, okay. Does the board have any other questions? Anybody else other than Jeff? Anna, do you have any questions or concerns, or Delisa?
I do. So, Sherry, I want to kind of go back just to make sure I understand the basics of what's happening here. So, the diesel fuel, that's what's going outside and up to 500 gallons. So the stipulation is that it will be above ground. So it is above ground, right? It's not in a tank below ground.
Forgive me, Ann, I gotta look at that again, but I'm pretty sure what they said was that was going to be in a containment system.
I thought you had said it was gonna be in a system similar to what was being done for the home heating fuel up at the trailer park. Double wall, custom, a double wall, 110% containment system that they've been using up at the trailer parks for their heating fuel for the past 15, 20 years. They've been replacing them up there. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's been a while. It's been a 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what you told us.
It said the inside fuel was going to be in a containment unit within the building in a double-walled concrete containment vessel. And the outside fuel was going to be in a double-walled exterior storage area, also with containment. And the aquifer permit limits the amount of fuel, so it may be that they only do one or the other and not both now, to the limit of what the aquifer special permit allows.
So what you're saying is the outside one, the diesel fuel, that so that will be above ground. There's nothing in a tank.
Correct.
Okay, and it will be on an impervious surface.
Correct.
Okay, great. And then the other one, which is the waste oil, that one is going to be inside the building.
If we have, yes, that's the intent, that the waste oil be inside the building. The capacities will change now because of the limit on the aquifer. Yes.
Okay, right. And so that limit is no more than 500 gallons inside. Total.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood those basics because it was a little confusing. Okay. I got it now. Diesel fuel, waste oil. And then my other question was related to the impervious. I guess maybe Green is identifying this, but the actual impervious percentage, because in one hand there was a 9,900 number, but then it talked about a 5,650 number. So it just really wasn't clear.
I didn't see Green's comments address that, but our narrative and our plan estimated that we were adding, I think it said 9,900 additional impervious, and the total would be within the limit. I think it's 30%. No, I think we were going to increase the impervious to more than the existing 21%, Anna, but not over the 30% granted by the permit regulations.
Okay. Well, that would be great. It would just be good to know what those numbers are. So if this can be identified somewhere on the new plan, that would be great.
Yeah, can you hear me? This is John Field.
Yes.
So I put the 5,600 square foot number in to only note that the original approved stormwater management system had been designed to accommodate the paving along the side of the building, as well as the paving in between the metal building and the small office building. But that 5,600 feet of paving had never been installed.
So I think what he's saying, Anna, is that the 5,500 can go back in the calculations, but John, what Anna wants is for the plan to be clearer about what we're going to end up with.
Yes, I understand that.
That would
Okay.
be very helpful. Thank you very much. And just a final comment on, I know that we are taking a look at modifying the existing special permit. So do we need any of the actual items identified? Is everything identified sufficiently, or do we need to have anything else? Because I know one of the items asked to list all the different chemicals and fuels that are going to be stored on premises.
That was, Anna, that's in the filings and it was presented to the fire marshal. And I don't think that needs to show on the plan. I think the plan is pretty complicated enough, but that is part of the submittal in the record with the planning board and the fire department.
Okay, well, all right. I just didn't see it, so that's why I was asking about that. Okay, so those are my questions.
Does anyone else have any questions? Lisa, do you have anything? Bartlett? Well, Bartlett can't speak.
I can't vote.
Do you have a plan that shows the abutters so we can see where the screening, so we can just take a look at it, so we can see the abutters off to the front of it? And do you have any kind of plan that shows the abutters?
The assessor's map board, was that part of the submittal?
If it helps, I can show Google Maps just to kind of show you what it looks like over there.
I just want to make sure if we are putting this behind people on Taylor Street, that we make sure that we do a good job screening it from not just them, but the people on the other side of the tracks as well.
Mark, it's when I talked to John Field and the applicant about creating the buffer of vegetation, what I'll do is I'll have them denote where the abutters are, so that when you see the plan again at the next meeting, you'll see the abutters and where the vegetation will be. How's that?
That would be very helpful. Thank you. Anybody else? So do we want to continue this till July?
Can I ask you to return again to an understanding that it's not going to be held up for additional seasonal high groundwater testing based on the fact that we're improving or going to be improving the infiltration and then satisfying the green comments in every other regard to the extent we're able to?
What does the board think about that? I mean, it is an improvement to an existing system.
One of, I have to defer to our technical experts, but one thing we could consider is requiring a larger system with, if there's a concern about the groundwater providing, requiring a larger system.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think there are a couple of things that I've talked with the applicant about, and one of them is raising. What we were trying to do was keep the existing pipe elevations that have already been constructed, but I did talk to the applicant, and he was willing to reinstall, to remove the existing pipe between the existing catch basin one and the proposed catch basin or manhole, and raising it up. I think that we could probably raise it up a foot and get another foot of separation between the estimated seasonal high groundwater and the bottom of the infiltration, the proposed infiltration system. But I also think that increasing the size is also something that could be considered.
Okay. So why don't we leave it that you guys work on it and come up with something that's acceptable to the applicant and to the green engineering for our next meeting, which will be, oh, Anna has a hand. Go ahead, Anna.
Well, I just wanted to ask, so what's the time frame again for getting the appropriate testing done? Is it fall or what's the appropriate?
Yes, it's November through March or April.
Okay.
But I'd also add that the existing surface infiltration bottom now is at the same proposed elevation as the buried chambers.
So I guess I would ask Tom at this point whether or not that's something that is pretty vital for us to try to collect during the actual season or not.
You know, I feel it is, and Jim and Shaheen can chime in if they like, but you know, they don't have any test pits that show where it is. And more than likely, the test pit may show that it's higher rather than lower. So if groundwater was shown to say be 6 feet below the system, then it'd be certainly less of a concern. But whereas it's right at the threshold of 2 feet, that's where our concern is. So I think maybe it sounds like the applicant has some ideas to revise the system that may address our concern. And I think that's something we can work hard with them on to see if their proposal to make it larger or raise it up by a foot maybe addresses it a little bit more. But Jim, Shaheen, I don't know if you have anything else to add. This is a little bit more in your wheelhouse.
I agree, Tom. I think that is a good, idea, and we will defer to the board to make the final decision. But that would be our recommendation.
Okay, so why don't we continue this till July, excuse me. When is our next meeting, Maren? You're mute.
One.
There it is. I'm over there. The next meeting is July 1st. Do you want to do this early, like 6:45?
Okay. And hopefully you guys can have this all resolved. Now, this property is currently monitored from the water department anyway, correct? There is groundwater monitoring on?
I don't believe there is groundwater monitoring at this site.
We probably should make that, well, that's one of the conditions we usually put in there, so
I agree.
why don't we look at that as well?
Right, yeah, Corey did weigh in on the initial application where they had a larger amount of petroleum stored, proposed than what could be allowed under the Aquifer District bylaw. So he's familiar with the site, and I'll ask him if wells are required at this time, or and I'll include the standard condition, water quality testing condition in the draft decision for you for the July 1st meeting.
That would be great, thank you. Great, so we'll see you in July, and if you have any, hopefully you guys can meet offline, get this resolved and bring it back to us July 1st.
Mm-hmm. Yep, just one administrative note on the July 1st meeting. If possible, well, depending on this, what's allowed by the state, we'll either be in room 103 or be doing that meeting by Zoom or a hybrid of both of those. And we'll have those details available when the agenda is posted at least 2 days before the July 1st meeting.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, we'll see you all on July 1st. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a 7:30 public hearing, 289 Great Road, Village.
Yeah.
What?
Yep, yep, and technically this is the new public hearing because they the Northern Bank withdrew and reapplied to allow all the Bartlett to sit, and my understanding that Jeff will be recusing himself, but would like to stay in the meeting to hear the conversation.
I will be off screen, but I will be listening to the presentation.
Okay. Okay, so continue public hearing 289 Great Road. Do you want to read the notice, Maren?
Yep. Yep, Planning Board Special Permit, 289 Great Road, public hearing notice. The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 3, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. to consider a new application for special permit pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, in the Code of the Town of Littleton zoning. The application is for sidewalk curb cuts under Section 173-224H of the Village Common Form-Based Code and site plan review under Section 173-16 through 173-19 of the Littleton zoning bylaws. Property location is 289 Great Road, map U7, parcel 220. Applicant is Northern Bank and Trust Company, and property owners 289 Great Road Realty Trust. Applicant is seeking special permit approval to allow redevelopment and use of underutilized property in the Village Common Form-Based Code District. The proposed project includes development of a new bank building with stormwater and utility improvements, bank drive-through, parking, and site landscaping as shown on the plan. Work would also include demolition of the existing building at the site. And the hearing notice goes on to explain that it'll be a Zoom meeting. Applications and plans are available on the town website or the planning board and town clerk's office. And any written comments or questions to the planning board office. Signed, Jeff Yates, clerk.
Thank you. So we have everybody from Northern Bank, it looks like. Does someone want to give us bring Bartlett up to speed, give us the Reader's Digest version of where we're at with this project right now?
Hello, Mr. Chairman. It's Attorney Mark Vaughn here. Good evening. Can you hear me all?
Yes, we can hear you, Mark.
Yes, thanks, Mark.
All right, great. Pleasure to be before you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome to a new board member. So we're pleased to be before you. I will try to not be too long in the tooth here in terms of the presentation, but for the record, Mark Vaughn with the law firm of Reamer and Bronstein, representing Northern Bank and Trust and 289 Great Road Realty Trust, the property owner. Property in question, obviously 289 Great Road. As the board is aware, we did have a hearing with the prior constituted board on April 8th to discuss the project. However, with the new addition of a board member since that time and with a board member that is abstaining, obviously we had obvious quorum issues. So we decided after consultation with Marin to resubmit the application so the new constituted board could participate. So the applicant's proposing a redevelopment of the property at 289 Great Road, includes the demolition of the existing building and improvements to accommodate the construction of a full-service bank branch for Northern Bank and Trust with a drive-through and associated site improvements. As we had mentioned before to the board, we as a team have been following with great interest the town's successful efforts last year to adopt the new village common zoning, and we're excited to be able to bring a proposal forward that we feel meets the objectives and would be an appropriate reutilization of this property, and hopefully could serve as a catalyst for more reinvestment elsewhere along the corridor. So the bank today has its branch location in Littleton, a few doors down on Great Road. This location would provide them with the ability to construct a new attractive branch so that they can provide the best experience for their customers, many of whom are Littleton residents. It's a unique lot, as I know we had talked about with the board before. It's a large triangular lot with a significant amount of frontage along both Great Road and Robinson Road, about 2/3 of an acre in size. It does have a one-story, 3,400 square foot building on there, which is a former greenhouse flower shop, from what I understand. And that did allow us to provide a building layout, which we feel was very respectful of the abutting residential neighborhood, with extensive landscaping while providing the interactive frontage along Great Road that I know the town was desirous of seeing as part of the new code. So, and I know we have Sean Malone, our civil engineer, and Dan Barton, our architect, on the line as well. And I know Dan had an opportunity at the prior meeting to talk about the vision for the building in terms of having elements reminiscent of a New England barn design that we feel are really going to be an attractive feature here for this. So the bank use itself is allowed by right under the form-based code. However, we did include the special permit application for the curb cut, which was proposed along Robinson Road. That is something under your code that requires a special permit. So where are we right now, I guess? And by the way, that curb cut onto Robinson Road, just to remind the board and to also educate the new board member, was designed to be exit only and left turn out only. So it really focused on the drive-through specifically, which we did not envision to be and continue to not envision be a high, traffic generator. And again, no reason for folks to be able to exit that and go down Robinson Road into the residential neighborhood. So at the April hearing, there was a fair amount of discussion regarding that proposed exit-only driveway onto Robinson. And I know that several Robinson Road residents were concerned about it. I believe a board member or two had some questions about it as well. And even though it was exit only and left turn out only, there was still some concerns as how it might impact vehicular or pedestrian safety on Robinson. We continue to feel those concerns would not present themselves in reality, but we were asked to explore some other options to accommodate a potential redesign. So after assessing this further, it was determined that there really was no way to avoid a second driveway exit onto Robinson without being able to use the property at abutting this site at 25 Robinson to help accommodate that, which we can, get into in a minute. But, one option that we had looked at was to bring the exit onto Robinson closer to Great Road, and we can certainly show you that plan. And, but there were concerns with that as well, since it would be a curb cut onto Robinson, albeit further removed from the residences. So I don't know if it might be helpful for Sean Malone or someone just to pull up the plan that we initially showed. And I'm starting to babble here, and maybe it might make sense to just have a plan up for purposes of being able to see, but.
Can I share my screen, Maren?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Do you want me to just go ahead and walk through this, Mark?
Yeah, sure, Sean. If you want to just this is the initial iteration, obviously, that has been previously submitted to the board. Maybe start with that. Yep.
Yeah. And let me just take a quick step back for the benefit of the new board member. This is the existing site, how it stands today. It's a triangle parcel bounded by Robinson Road and Great Road here, kind of at the pinnacle entrance of the Village Common District. There's one-story wood frame building at the center of the site, former greenhouse, I think a thrift shop, some various uses over the years, and a parking lot, paved parking lot at the front of the site with a 100-foot curb cut. Moving into the previous proposal, or I guess the current proposal in front of the board right now, is we propose to demolish the existing building, curb cut, and parking area to construct the new bank branch. We've cited the building to kind of take into consideration the two frontages of this site. The site, it's rather unique, a triangle lot. So we wanted to be able to pay respect to each of those frontages, as well as create kind of the entrance gateway into the Village Common. So that's why the building's positioned as you see it. We have a single curb cut on Great Road into a main parking area. This would be the main entrance and egress to the site, and then a bank drive-through with a teller lane, an ATM lane, and then a bypass lane. This would exit onto Robinson Road. As Mark mentioned, this would be left exit only. And we weren't anticipating, or still not anticipating, a lot of traffic generated by this. Again, as Mark mentioned, we heard a lot of concerns from the neighbors in particular, and some board members about this curb cut onto Robinson Road. in particular, it is directly across from a existing residence. It does come in the residential portion of Robinson Road. This is the zone line here that proceeds up along our property and then down behind 25 Robinson Road. So we took all these comments into consideration, and we thought about what better option we could come up with. And we prepared this alternative, which again, it takes the drive-through and wraps it around to the north side of the building. So we'd be able to provide a continuous screen all along the residential portion of the zone line that abuts the residential portion of the zone line. And then this would further direct the traffic directly just down the end of Robinson Road and out. We met with some of the town staff and I think some other officials of the town and discussed this plan. At that meeting, there was some conversation about maybe being able to do something else. And the bank owns this parcel, which is a residential parcel, 25 Robinson Road. And we were asked whether or not this parcel could be incorporated in to eliminate any kind of Robinson Road egress whatsoever. So we took those comments back and kind of went back and reevaluated our plan and what we wanted to do with this site. We've also heard from some of the board members and some of the abutters about what's going to happen, what could happen with the rest of the bank-owned properties along Great Road. So we prepared this concept here. And what this concept does, this incorporates all of the bank-owned land. So this is the triangle parcel. The zone line runs here, and this is 25 Robinson Road. So we've reversed the drive-through lane to come back onto the property. And because of turning radii and so forth, we really need to come out onto that 25 Robinson Road parcel. So in doing this, we're able to provide a continuous green space and screen all along Robinson Road. We have at least 27 feet from our paved area to the Robinson Road pavement at the closest point. And then when you get into some of the back parking lot, we're up to 45 feet. So this concept is something that we talked about with some of the residents some time ago, as well as some town officials. In previous concepts, we've had a drive-through in this building E area. We've eliminated that. And we really feel this plan really is what this form-based code is all about. We have the parking at the rear of the site, the buildings pushed forward. There'd be a mixed use, retail, commercial, and perhaps a restaurant here. So this is kind of where we stand now, to take Mark's word from him. And we wanted to take this opportunity to bring this forward to the board to get some reaction and see if we're, going down the right path here. Mark,
if I could maybe, yeah, no, if I could just jump in, I appreciate a very good overview. But and again, I think what's on the screen right now, it's a concept plan, and really hasn't been any final drainage or stormwater design. So I don't want anyone to think that there's finality to this because there's details that aren't shown. But I think you can hopefully get the intent that what we want to be able to do, what the bank would like to be able to do, is tie together the parcels in a manner that would allow for a significant investment in this corridor, which we feel would truly capture the goals of the town behind the adoption of the village code. Be signature architectural buildings, significant open space, outdoor gathering space, wide sidewalks, other pedestrian enhancements, and But to do it, we do need to have some circulation and parking that would, spill over onto 25 Robinson. But, I know, my client's intention is to be able to do that in a manner that provides significant buffer, as Sean mentioned, and making sure that they're, we put in place features here that ameliorate any, impacts. And certainly there wouldn't be any, curb cut onto Robinson, either on the corner parcel where the bank is or on 25 itself. But I think that this helps really kind of let you visualize why it is, just given the unique geometric shape of the area, that it's critical to be able to have the ability to use that. If the town, does have an interest in us being able to pursue this vision. So again, to go back to what Sean said, I think that's the direction that we would, like to go in if the board were, open to it. And we just wanted to see if we could continue to, work with you to have a dialogue to see how we could make that come to fruition. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you, Mark. We'll let the board speak about it first, since most of them have just seen this for the first time. I don't want to start with Bartlett because he's probably first one to see it. Delisa, what do you have any questions or concerns about this?
I'm really just kind of digesting this last one because I, like everybody, or like a lot of people, have been very concerned about cutting into Robinson Road. And then, I appreciate the previous schematic where you moved it, the cutout further up. But what I didn't like was the fact that then we lost those walkways, and then I worry about the dentist office. So this is a totally different concept. And I know, though, that part of that parcel is a residential lot. So we would have to rezone that into mixed use. Right, Mark?
You taught me? Yeah, this would have to probably go back to town meeting for expansion of the village common area.
What I guess I would really want to hear is what Robinson Road thinks of this.
Well, but before we take this down, let me just make a couple of comments about the zoning right there at Robinson Road. We've been trying to revitalize the common, and unfortunately, that corner lot has the shortest distance from Great Road to Robinson Road. If you look at that first corner, it's 101 feet. I don't know if anyone can put a cursor on it. It goes from 101 feet. Now, further down, where like the picnic tables are, right after the end of the building, the lot line, the side lot line, all the way as you're looking at it, all the way to the right, where
This here.
that's 101 feet right there. That's the problem with this whole thing. Now, if you go further down and follow that zoning line the other way, all the way back to Robinson Road, where you get, I'm pointing at it, you guys can't see it, I feel like an idiot. All the way to the back, behind the third building where it's residential business right in the back, that's 300 feet. So that's the problem with the fact that there's no rhyme or reason to where the zoning line was. It was done 50, 60 years ago when zoning came in, and it went parcel by parcel. So it's really not that, in my opinion, it's not that much of an impact to the residents because it's already 300 feet from Robinson Road, from Great Road to the zoning line. If you look at that, see where can you put the cursor on where the residential and business stop in the back corner? Yeah, right there. That's 300 feet from the street. If you went straight across and that's the way the zoning was, we wouldn't be having this discussion. But if it tapers down to 100 feet. In order to redevelop it, the 100 feet is just not feasible. If the residents don't want it on Robinson Road, we have to do something with extending that line. If you go further down, if you keep going, it goes up to over 600 feet by the time it gets to where the Toyota dealership is. So it's, if you were living on 25 Robinson Road, this would obviously have a big impact. But since it's not, it's going to be that house will be used as a buffer there, you're looking at about, realistically, that lot line should come straight across to Robinson Road, and then everything would be in the business zone. So
Right.
yes, it would have to be a zoning change. It incorporates all the buildings that we're talking about. It's a progressive move forward to revitalize the common. I don't know if they need all that parking. I don't think they've done an assessment to see if they could maybe possibly reduce some of the parking by using multiple, if we're going to have apartments at night and retail during the day or office at night, maybe we could get rid of some of the extra parking that's on 25 Robinson Road, but they're not going to be able to figure that out till they actually sit down and do all the calculations. But it gives us a good idea of how to go about keeping the traffic off of Robinson Road.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any other way to do it. You know, if our goal is to not have additional traffic, although I kind of agree, I don't think we're talking about a ton of traffic. I mean, there aren't that many people who actually go to banks anymore, but there will still be some. And even left turning, it's still going to affect part of the road. And I know it's narrow and the dentist office is there and you've got a lot of parking from the dentist office. So I get all of that. This to me looks like a good
starting point.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I do. You know, initially, my initial idea, my initial feeling is, oh my God, that's a lot of parking spaces. But I agree with what you just said. This is just a concept. So if we're looking to reduce traffic on Robinson Road, then I think this is the only option I can think of.
Okay. Anna, do you have anything you want to add, or you want to anything that jumps out at you?
Hi, so folks from Northern Bank, thanks for being here tonight and for bringing back the entire concept, the big idea that we had discussed back in late 2019. It is great to see. I know that I would like to understand what the thoughts are around residential for the area, especially as you're looking at removing you're looking at removing 25 Robinson Road. So would be good to know what your thoughts are on that. But for now, I think we should just keep the conversation going.
Thank you. I've said my two. Bartlett, what do you think? I think.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Well, I have to agree that in terms of Robinson Road, this was a much better solution. I think that I really like to see the whole property of the bank sort of treated as one piece, and not just the bank by itself. I think, you know, the parking and stuff will depend a lot on what actually goes into B, C, and D. And I mean, I have to agree that this is a better plan, and it really does show building up the street front along Great Road. I think that's good.
Okay. Maren, does anyone have their hands raised? Any residents or anybody have a question or a concern about this, since this is kind of the first time everybody's seen this?
Yes, there is a hand raised. Marco. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Okay, hi, sorry. Yeah, this is Marco Borba, 29 Robinson Road. So I want to point out a couple of things. Number one, I was part of the group that met with the bank, as previously mentioned, when they were discussing 25 Robinson Road a while back. And the reason why 25 Robinson Road wasn't part of the rezoning for form-based code when they originally brought the plan up is because of the sentiment of the neighborhood in essentially demolishing 40% of the frontage on one side of Robinson Road, which is what they would be doing by knocking down that building. We also appreciate the work that's happening on Great Road. However, a house is a much better buffer than a tree line in protecting the privacy of our neighborhood, the safety of our kids that walk up and down this neighborhood, and including the animals and just the residents that live here. So we shared some significant concern with a house that has value and establishes value for the rest of the neighborhood to be turned into a parking lot. We certainly didn't think that that was in the best interest of our neighborhood or the families that live here. I heard a couple times again mentioned today about the lack of traffic that goes to Banks. However, at the last meeting that we discussed this, it was shared by Northern Bank that they anticipate 380 visits a day, which is 190 cars passing through there. That's the statistics that they shared with us. And when you have a bypass lane that goes onto the road, it's the potential for a significant amount of traffic. So regardless, those were the numbers that they shared with us. Ultimately, I think that the problems is the unwillingness to look at the orientation of the building and the possibility of 2 curb cuts onto Great Road, where every other bank on Great Road has 2 curb cuts currently. So I'm not sure why we couldn't take that second plan and rather than dumping further down on Robinson Road, to actually wrap around the entire building and just put onto another curb cut onto Great Road. Or to, again, change the orientation of the building so that you can utilize the property that's not 25 Robinson Road, but the adjacent subway lot, and working that into a way to have the vehicles dumped back out to Great Road. So I think it's a little disappointing that the bank has heard our sentiments on the parking lot back there and the curb cut onto our road, and yet is using it in order to manipulate the entire plan, which looks beautiful on paper, but totally decimates our neighborhood.
Thank you. Mara, anyone else have their hand up?
No, there's no one else with their hand raised.
Okay.
Can I just say one thing? And I appreciate the comments from Mr. Borba. We're not looking to manipulate any neighborhood, Mr. Chairman and board members. We came forward with a plan previously. It showed an exit onto Robinson because, in our opinion, that's the only way that we could have accomplished the bank on that lot and achieving all the other benefits that we had mentioned in terms of the significant open space at the corner and, trying to achieve the objectives of the form-based code. So, we are not looking to, become a burden for the neighborhood. I can assure you that both Dan Barton and Sean Malone and myself, we've worked on a number of projects before where we understand that there's a need to make sure that something is respectful and understanding of what's around the site, not just on the site. And, I do think that there's an opportunity here to address those concerns. And, with respect to the house that sits on 25 Robinson, I think you can see it on that plan. We're basically, keeping all of the area there as open where that house is, whether there's a house there or not. I mean, it's still going to be undeveloped and, protected and buffered and whatever. But anyway, it's a concept plan. And again, I think that sincerely, we, thought that it helps to address the concerns we had heard before, which was, no curb cut onto Robinson. So
Can I ask a question? I really like the design of the bank building, and I think you guys have done a great job really tying into the rural kind of farming look that we're looking for in this particular part of town. Going back to what Mr. Borba said, is there a way, and I hate to even bring this up, but is there a way to reorient the building so that, reorient it so that you could come in on Great Road, drive around the building, and come out onto Great Road? So you wouldn't have what I think is kind of that diagonal slant. It would be more traditional and with it facing more onto Great Road. But is there a way by doing that to accommodate, the in and out onto Great Road? Did that make sense?
With two different curb cuts?
Yeah, but on Great Road. So what you would do is move, it's kind of hard because I can't point to the diagram, but so instead of having your like tilt, like diagonal, right? Wait, like this. Wait, I'm trying to look at myself in the camera like this. You would move it like this. So it was facing out onto Great Road. And then you drive in, you to the drive-through, you curve around the back and come back out onto Great Road.
Yeah, we looked at different concepts, but one of the issues is that under your code, there's a prohibition also on having more than one curb cut per 300 feet of front lot line. So, we wouldn't be able to have, 2 curb cuts within that front lot area.
But then what?
Mark, if I can provide some, sorry to interrupt. After Delisa is done, I'd like to provide some input as well, if I could.
Because then, all right, well then it could be, there's just one curb cut. You come in off a Great Road, you circle around the building, and then you go out to the exact same curb cut. I mean, other banks have that. I know I bank at Enterprise in Westford, and that's what you have to do. You just use the same curb cut is used for entrance and exit. Just throwing it out there because I would like an answer to.
Yeah. Maren, I don't know if you want to go. This is Dan. I'd also like to make a couple of comments as well.
Thank you. So as town planner, I'm very excited to be able to look at the entire master plan for this site. I think they've done a marvelous job of responding to the comments that were heard, making the best of redevelopment situation, proposing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buildings that could really be a cornerstone of revitalization of the Littleton Common while being respectful of adjacent residential uses. I agree that perhaps there's more parking proposed than would really be utilized. I understand that it meets the bylaw as it's proposed now, but hoping for some further discussion to possibly be able to reduce the amount of pavement. But that said, the look from Great Road, the look from Robinson Road, the look from the intersection of Robinson and Great Road, they really have a beautiful layout proposed there. I'm hoping that the planning board will not try to redesign what the design professionals have spent a considerable amount of time and money on. I'm happy to defer to their expertise on it rather than try to rejigger and realign the work that they've done. Generally, having done a lot of the work on with the consultants on the form-based code and the process to get that approved, this is extremely responsive to all the work that the town did to put that in place.
Thank you, Maren. I have to agree with Maren. And like I said, the problem with this whole area is that 101 feet, that triangle that comes 101 feet right there creates all the problems. You can't circle in, as our bylaw says, you have to be 200 feet away. You can't feasibly loop that back. I do think there's too much parking. I don't know if we could continue this and maybe they could look at reduced parking because obviously would be very much favorable to that, and maybe keep the house. If the house is a big concern to the residents there, maybe we do keep it and offer some affordable housing in the house that's there. If we take that last row of parking out, if that's something maybe the design professionals can take a look at as we move forward through this process. Again, I go back to it. It's I don't think it's impinging that much because further on down behind Building C is 300 feet from the road. So it's really pushing back into Robinson Road. The only house that really would have been affected is 25 Robinson Road, and it's not going to be affected because it's the banks. The bank is not going to have people in there unless we decide to do some sort of affordable housing in there. I'd like to continue this. I'd like to keep the dialogue open with the bank to maybe come up with do some drainage out there, do some calculations as to what exactly you're going to need for parking, knowing full well that we'll be very generous with how we look at the parking out there to try to maybe put a bigger green space out there. I think you've addressed the issue of trying to stay off of Robinson Road, and I commend you for taking the extra time and money to do it. I'd like to see this move forward to our next meeting. I don't know. I think it's good that we've seen this for the first time, and I'm excited about continuing this during the summer, and maybe at fall town meeting, if we have to do a rezoning or come up with another alternative, we keep the process forward and maybe have an outreach with all the residents of Robinson Road, a site plan out there with everyone as you move forward with this to kind of fine tune this plan. Now I'm getting long-winded.
Well, I have a question. The parking lot that is between D and E, that kind of runs counter to the concept of form-based code where we really wanted to have all parking in the back. So is there a reason you have parking there? And again, I know this is just a concept, but I just wanted to ask it now.
That's probably their second means of egress out, Delisa. They have to have a second way out.
Oh, yeah.
They have to have another way out of there. There's too much parking. There's no way you're going to all come out of that one curb cut by the bank. You need another way out.
Wide. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a few more comments.
A couple more of the residents and
yeah, Lauren Borba.
Hi, can you hear me?
yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you for taking my comments. Just want to state for the record that we have had somewhat of a site plan look with the bank on a private matter. We all visited the Whitney property with the bank. And at the time, we all clearly stated our objection to turning the Whitney property from residential into anything that was commercial. So just want to state to the board that we are absolutely committed to opposing anything commercially related to that area. If you were actually to walk down the street of Robinson Road, you would see how far that property actually goes down our street. It's a very awkward lot, if you will, in that it feels like it's at the beginning of the street, but it actually goes down to the middle of a very residential road. So for the record, just want to state that we are fully committed and highly objectional to anything that is commercially zoned on that property.
Thank you.
Ed Mullen.
Mr. Mullen, are you there?
I am. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Just for point of reference, I wanted to make a note that at the far end of Robinson Road on the same side, the last property owner has significant screening from what was originally the Village on the Common, a development that was never completed. But they did do plantings and screening around that house. So if anybody was wondering what screening looks like that's proposed here, they could certainly take a look at the other end of the road to get an idea. I just wanted to make the mention for a point of reference.
Thank you. Aaron?
Then Anna has her hand raised.
Go ahead, Anna.
So specifically to what you mentioned earlier, Mark, about the resident and does it need to be utilized? Perhaps it could be used for affordable housing. One thought that I have in looking at this is because it is such a very long lot, the 25 Robinson Road, is it perhaps some of the lot, the green space, I'll call it, of the lot can be used as needed by the bank for parking or the turnaround area, but that the house can remain. So I think there's a way perhaps to divide that property. Perhaps it can't all stay, but that would be a way of compromising between being able to do both.
Thank you. I thought I sort of mentioned that, but maybe I wasn't clear, but yeah. Maren, anyone else have their hands up?
Let's see, Mr. Borba has his hand up again.
Okay, Mr.
Hi. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I guess Ann just sort of mentioned where I was going to take this. We the residents on the town, and we certainly wouldn't be in favor of half of the 25 Robinson Road being taken up to be used for that. However, like as I'm sitting here staring at the plan and we're talking about that 101 feet, I could certainly see a scenario where that 101 foot line continued straight up vertically to Robinson Road, and a few hundred square feet or 700 square feet, whatever it ultimately ends up being, squares off that one area. It wouldn't be a square, but and allows for a turnaround within the parcel. I could see our residents in this neighborhood being open to a small portion of that property, accommodating the turnaround versus it all turning into a parking lot. That would be a compromise that I could see our neighborhood making. It wouldn't be 50% of that property. So I'm just being really clear that if a proposal came back with 50% of that property, we would certainly be against that as well. But I could see that line going vertically straight to the road to create a turnaround.
Marco, can I ask you a question? Mark, is it appropriate? Can I ask questions of a resident?
Sure.
Okay. I'm curious, and I know you're just one of the residents of Robinson Road, but I would be curious to know which plan, if they had to choose between this plan that we see up here versus the cutout onto Robinson Road, closer towards, closer up towards the Baker House, which one would be preferable? Because there's got to be some compromise here. I mean, I'm with Maren and Mark. This is a great opportunity to revitalize the common. So, Mark.
I wouldn't agree to either one of them. So I mean, there isn't neither one of those plans, in my opinion. And I happen to work in commercial real estate development. And don't see either one of those plans as an acceptable plan for the residents of Robinson Road. And I know that my peers on this road feel the same way. But it doesn't mean that we wouldn't compromise. And a compromise would come in probably what I just mentioned a minute ago, where we would take a small portion of 25 Robinson to create a roundabout. As I mentioned in my previous comment when I first spoke, that this Plan B, we'll call it, where it was dumping out further into Robinson Road, where that pavement continued around the building and back onto Great Road, would be a plan that we would be happy with. But that keeps it in the existing parcel.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that with us. Anyone else have any?
There's no more hands raised.
Okay. Obviously you've heard everyone. You've heard that the board is generally supportive of the holistic look at the whole revitalization of the common. I think you've heard from everyone that we love the the layout of the buildings. Maybe you come back with something that is maybe a little less parking. See how that looks, and we can further discuss that. I don't know. Do you want to be on our July meeting?
I think if you don't mind continuing to the July meeting, just so we have a placeholder, that would be helpful. Would appreciate that. And then, we could certainly continue to have a dialogue through Maren relative to, how we can, try to meet the intent and, go forward with something that hopefully everyone could ultimately support. So
I'm going to throw this out, and we do have a portion of our bylaw in the parking that allows a off-site parking within 300 feet of the lot. I would rather we worked it out amongst the neighbors and everyone, so everybody's happy, but that is an option that we could think about. If you look in our bylaw, we're allowed off-site parking within 300 feet of the existing lot. We've never gone down. We've really tried to stay away from that. We've been very careful with that, but it's something that we might want to think about to keep this process going forward. And I like the sentiment that Anna said, maybe try to give us more green space, try to leave the house, try to use less parking, and see what that looks like in another month. To see how the reaction is to that as well. So I think we continue it. Maren, what time can we put them on for June, July? I keep saying June. I forget we're already.
Yep. July 1st, I would recommend 7:30 p.m.
Does that work for you, Mark?
Yeah, I don't see why not. So that would be great. Yeah. I will, we'll put that on the calendar, and I know we'll be in touch through staff before then as well. So
that would be great. Thank you.
Yep, and I have to do the administrative thing of that meeting will either be in person in room 103 if allowed, or remotely via Zoom, or some combination of a hybrid meeting. And the details of the continued hearing, how to access the continued hearing, will be on the planning board agenda when that is posted, a minimum of 48 hours before the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have, we're a little late. We have an 8 o'clock public hearing, Aquifer Water Resource District Special Permit, 537 King Street, change of use from in the existing structure.
Yep, I'll read the public hearing notice. Public hearing, Water Resource District Special Permit, 537 King Street. The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 3rd, 2021 at 8 p.m. to consider the application for a special permit pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, and the Code of the Town of Littleton zoning, Aquifer and Water Resource District, Section 17361 through 173-64. Property location is 537 King Street, Assessor's Map U7, Parcel 6. Property owner and applicant, Stone Realty Trust. The application is for a Water Resource District special permit to allow a change of use within an existing building in the Water Resource District. Application can be viewed on the town website or in the planning board or town clerk's office during business hours, and ask for comments by written comments by June 2nd if possible. And it goes on to explain that this hearing will be via Zoom. And if you have any questions, please call or email me, signed by Jeff Yates, town clerk. I believe Scott Hayes is here to provide an overview of the project, and I will presume that Jeff is back. I can't see.
I am.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Scott Hayes, Foresight Engineering. We put together the site plan for the change of use of 537 King Street. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought maybe you couldn't hear me. So this is 537 King Street. It was formerly Sunflower Antiques, and Erickson Landscaping currently leases the garage to the property, owns a landscaping business out of the rear. The principal structure at the front of the building is a kind of a historic colonial style farmhouse type home that's been converted through over the years from residential uses to business uses, and we're looking to convert the remainder of the office retail use in that building, which is about 1,400 square feet, to 2 additional apartments, just for the fact that the owner has had great difficulty in leasing office and retail space there and hasn't been able to find a reliable long-term tenant. So I've bolded out in red the area that is being converted. The remainder of the principal structure in the front of the property is already 3 apartments. This area here, I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing. And the red area is the office retail use that's proposed to be converted into 2 additional apartments. There's really no changes proposed to the site itself. There's adequate parking at the front of the site that's paved. We've shown 12 spaces, maybe 5 units here total. If this were approved at 2 spaces per dwelling unit, 10 spaces would be adequate, but we've just shown lines for 12 just so we were in excess of that. And we've had the septic system evaluated by Neshoba Board of Health, and it's adequately sized. There's no need to increase design flow or modify the septic system for this change. So, as Maureen said in reading the legal ad, this is in the Village Common District. It abuts the residential zone to the west, which is Village Lane subdivision is past the site to the west, and across King Street is the IBM parking lot. Just if not everyone's familiar where Sunflower Antiques was over the years. So we're here for the change of use in the Village Common District, and for also for the water change of use within the Water Resource District. Again, no changes have been proposed to the actual site itself. It's going to continue externally to be as it largely is now, unless the board requires changes to the site for this. I think that's all I have to say. If the board has any questions.
So you're basically going from retail to all residential.
Yeah, it was. There was the antique shop was there, and then that was a portion of that was converted to apartments years ago. And the remaining land area on the first floor, I think there's a small office there, and what was the antique shop. They want to convert that to two. I guess about a 700 and an 800 square foot apartment each. So 2 additional apartments at about 13 or 1400 square feet.
Okay. Does the board have any questions about this? Anna, Delisa, Jeff?
I'm pretty familiar with the property, and I have no problem with this. It's really marginal retail space. And some of you might recall, I think the last actual tenant was the Computer Surplus Solutions, and then it's been empty for some time. It had, years ago was a daycare center. There is plenty of parking.
It's a tough retail site.
Yeah, it's just not, it's not good. I mean, yeah.
Well, apartments in town, so.
Well, and these, I think by definition would be somewhat affordable. They're not large, and it's, anyway, so.
You're good with it?
Yes.
Anna, do you have any questions or concerns? Yes, not. What about?
Anna was muted, so I don't know if she was trying to say something.
Yes, I was. Sorry about that.
Be right up your alley, more housing.
Woohoo! More housing. Okay. Mr. Hayes, yes, I could not read the plan very well, so I'm hoping you can help discern what some of these items are. So the 2 new proposed units, are they one right on top of each other, or are they next to each other?
Yeah, one is on the first floor entirely, and one is partially on the second floor, partially on the first floor. But it's the area outlined in red is the area to be converted.
Right. Okay. And so what are the egress points for those particular units, given the fact that they're now going to be turned into residential?
Can you see where I'm pointing?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a set of, there's a main entrance to the building in the front here, which is the entrance to the antique shop. That's one entrance. There's an entrance at the rear of the building at grade to the first floor.
Okay.
Here, and this set of stairs here goes to the second floor as a secondary egress for the second floor apartment.
Okay.
And another entrance just to the left of that, at the corner of the building here at grade.
Okay.
There's-
So it looks like there's 4 different egress points. Okay, great.
Yeah, and that's not including the others for the units on the first floor around the building. I mean, there's a deck here, there's an egress here, here, here. So there's plenty of grade egress surrounding the building.
Okay, great. And then just out of curiosity, if you take the top point of that red area and go straight up, there's some words in a little cloud. I just couldn't read what those are.
That's a second floor egress. So there's a door on the second floor that the bumped out area right here is only the first floor. So these stairs extend up beyond the roof of this section of the building. And there's a doorway right here. This is where the second floor of the building begins. There's a doorway here. So there's a door here and a set of stairs that run over the roof, over the first floor roof here, and then down to grade here.
Okay, great. And then one more question. Out on the back lot, I see that it says existing sewage disposal leaching area. Then below that, it says reserve EAD. What does that mean?
That's just Title V jargon for soil absorption system. It's the reserve leach area.
Okay, all right. So thank you for going through that. I thought I was in the doctor's office trying to figure out what letter that is. And okay, so that was my questions on that. And for the Neshoba Board of Health, you said that they had been out. Would you be able to provide us a letter just acknowledging that they don't need anything further?
I can do that, yes. So the owner had originally applied for a building permit before they were directed to site plan, and it had been reviewed by Neshoba. I don't know if we got anything in writing, but they really just evaluated the existing system for capacity and to verify that it was sized in excess of what the proposed use was, and they did verify that. I don't know if they put conditions on it or not. I haven't seen the document myself, but we can certainly provide that to the board prior to building permit.
Okay.
And that's stuff that Mr. Mullen, I'm sure, will take care of, and we don't want to step on the building inspector's toes. He'll make sure there's 2 means of egress. I'm sure Neshoba will weigh in whether.
And there he is with his hand raised.
Anyway,
I look forward to their application.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll take care of it. You're taking bread out of his mouth, Anna.
Don't want to do that, right, Ed?
Anyway,
I appreciate you guys looking out for me.
Absolutely. All right.
Any other questions? Bartlett, do you have anything? Bartlett, do you want to resign already? Is that what's?
Yeah, I do. No, I don't. I think putting housing, residential in that area, in that building is a great idea. I guess what I would like to see is some landscaping to just improve the appearance of the site. It's kind of bleak, looking from King Street back towards the garage. But that's a minor point. I think housing, putting residential in there is great.
Thank you. We need to vote this, right? Does anyone want to make a motion to approve the 2 transformation from commercial space or retail space to 2 apartments? Subject.
I can make that motion.
I second.
All those in favor? I'll start with you, Bartlett.
I'm in favor, yes.
Anna?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Felisa?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. You got to put the pictures up, Myron. I can't remember who's on it unless it's for the pictures. Thank you all. All right, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Myron, or we can get business.
Hey, Mark, you are exactly on schedule.
I know it. This is
That
scary.
is amazing.
This is the new and improved me.
Wow.
You know, can we, all right, we have A, B, C, D, all the way to H. You want to do we'll do our stuff afterwards. You want to do town meeting stuff, all of that stuff first, Myron, or would you rather I start today?
I'm good with whatever you want to take next.
All right, well, I see a lot of people on here. They don't want to sit and do our updates and everything else like that. So why don't we start with town meeting, town warrant articles. And who's going to speak about them? Let's start with Article 29, Stormwater Bylaw. We're voting to send that to town meeting floor. It's already in the warrant. Town council has written a nice interpretation of what the state is asking us to do. So town meeting is a week from this Saturday, right? Yeah, a week from this Saturday.
Right.
Who wants to handle that one? Hearing no one. Anna, you want to handle that? Come on, you can have that one. Come on, no? You're gonna leave it to me? Do them all. I'm telling you right now, I can't do them all. Mr. Mullen, do you want to handle that? No, guess not. All right.
Can we have someone from Green to handle that?
Well, that's really town council stuff, right?
I know, it's just the problem is it's so technical. It has to do with.
All right, we'll figure that one out.
Well, nobody may ask any questions.
Oh, yeah, okay, no one's, okay. Article 30, Littleton Station, the 40R smart growth. We've all decided to postpone that until fall town meeting.
Yeah, I would recommend that the planning board take a vote on recommend passing over that article at town meeting floor.
Okay. Anyone want to make a motion to pull that article for town meeting, and we'll revisit it for a fall town meeting?
Well, I wouldn't recommend that you place a timeline on revisiting it. It's just for what we have in front of us now.
We're going to withdraw it without prejudice from spring town meeting. How's that?
It's on the town meeting warrant. If the planning board would recommend the town meeting pass over the article, then there will be no action on it.
Okay.
There will be no motion made on town meeting floor. So that does the same. It does what you're wanting to do. It makes it so that town meeting will not consider that article.
Okay, so we need a vote to do that, correct?
Correct.
So someone want to make a motion that we ask that no action be taken for a town meeting on this until a future date?
I'll make a motion that we pass it over at spring meeting.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor? Jeff?
Aye.
Delisa?
Aye.
Anna?
Yes.
I'm a yes. I don't think Bylaw can vote it, right? He's a
member of the board, so he can.
Sure. Bylaw, go ahead. You want to vote?
Yeah, okay, I'm in favor.
Okay, great. So that's that one. Senior residential development, inclusionary housing. That has Anna written all over it. Come on, Anna, you got to take something.
No, that's fine. I know that we have to make some kind of change, though.
Yeah, we have to work on that because it includes Littleton Station.
Actually, we now have recommended wording from town council. The version of the bylaw that is in the town meeting warrant includes reference to the Littleton Station 40R district.
Yeah.
Town council has recommended it, has offered a change that removes that language and refers back to the existing senior residential development bylaw for the locations where senior apartments would be allowed. Those are the same locations where other senior residential developments would be allowed.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll have a handout for that at town meeting, right?
Correct. And we hand out for that at town meeting.
Okay.
So I would ask the board to vote to recommend Article 31 as printed. I was going to say as printed below, as printed in as recommended by the town planner. Senior, I'm struggling. I have a printout of it here that I haven't shared with you, but
well, I can try it if you want. I move that we take the senior residential development Article 31 and change the language with regard to Littleton Station and refer back to the SRD as recommended by town council.
Second, anyone? Delisa?
Yep, sounds, aye.
No, you got to second it first.
Oh, I second it, yes.
All those in favor, Delisa, you can, aye now.
Aye.
Bartlett?
Aye.
Hannah?
Yes.
Jeff?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay. Marijuana delivery. All right. So we have that article before us as well. Who wants to handle that one?
That's another one that is so complicated. I mean, I had no problem with pushing it forward, but you know, the takeaway I had from it is two. You know, that's about all that I could speak to on that.
All right, I'll take that one too, I guess.
Okay.
All right, so we have to push it along. So we need a motion to
so actually, you already at April 11th meeting, you voted to recommend it to town meeting, and the planning board's report to town meeting will say it's as printed in the town meeting report.
Okay.
There are no changes on that one since.
All right, and we've already done Article 36, the renaming of the highway department. We spoke about that earlier. So we want to vote.
Yeah, I guess you already did vote.
We already did kind of vote to support it, so we're good.
Yeah.
All right, so that's pretty much everything for tonight. We have some board business we need to take care of. Everyone's more than welcome to listen to us, but that's it for our meeting. We have, let's start with board member updates. Does anybody have any updates? Been kind of a quiet month. Anna, you have an update?
Sure, thanks. So Master Plan Implementation Committee was not able to meet again this month. And so unfortunately, we will not have a presentation of the town accomplishments at town meeting, but hope to be able to do that for the fall. Second, I would like to say that I'm ecstatic that the E360 for all the zoning, electronic zoning has been updated. So everything is in there, is current. And for our new planning board member, I would highly recommend that if you haven't already provided him access, just to make sure he has everything that he would need, including all the rules and regs and stuff like that. But E360 is now updated, so that's really exciting. And then I would highly recommend, Mr. Chair, I would request that we have a retreat, much as we did in 2019, so that we can discuss our board goals and include our new board member, and hopefully do that sometime. Again, it can be an enjoyable in-person experience.
Fine with me. How's the rest of the board feel about that? We like each other enough that we could all get together socially and talk about goals and objectives for the coming next couple of years?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we give our dates and we'll figure out a time when we can have it. We did it at the fire department last time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we did.
Get it sometime this summer. How's that? Okay. Perfect. Prior minutes, April 22nd and May 6th. Anybody have any questions or concerns about the minutes?
I did review them and they seemed fine.
Yep, I reviewed them as well.
Anna, you okay with them?
Yep, all good.
All right, so then I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from April 22nd and May 6th as written.
I so move.
Second,
I second it.
all those in favor? Jeff,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Bartlett?
Yeah, I wasn't at those meetings.
But you can say yes. All right. Anna,
Oh, okay, whatever. Yes.
Anna,
I'm a yes, thank you.
and I'm a yes. Okay, town planner updates. Then we'll get to bond reductions.
Okay, town planner update will be about 15 seconds long. There's been a lot of interest expressed by various parties about the 550 King Street, the IBM site. So I know that staff and officials will be working diligently over the next several months to understand what future property owner wants to do on that site. It certainly has the potential to be another cornerstone of the Littleton Common revitalization, especially when partnered with the Northern Bank redevelopment proposal. So it's very exciting that, a little scary that it's come up for sale, and we know that IBM will not be returning to the site, but also a big opportunity for the town.
Go to the next generation. That's great. Thank you, Maren. Anything else? Is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
All right, so we have bond releases for reductions for Turkey and K. I see Mr. Guthrie is here. Sorry that I made you wait as long as I did. Are we okay with the bond reductions from Green? Everything's in place as they should be?
Yes. Green had reviewed the bond proposal for the K Phase 4. They had a couple of recommendations. We made those changes. The amount remained the same at $126,000. Just the items were switched out a little bit. So the request is for a release of $29,400 of the Durkee and K bonds that are already complete. Those particular roadways have already been accepted.
Okay. Does Mr. Guthrie want to speak, or is he good with us approving the bond reduction of, what was the number, 126?
Okay, so a bond release of $29,400, and that will leave $126,000 in the K Phase 4.
I'm fine with that, Mr. Chair. Maren and I were working on that together. I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to reduce the bond by whatever Maren said.
29.4.
29.4. And we want to make that motion?
I so move.
Second, Delisa, you're good for second.
Indeed.
All those in favor, Jeff?
Aye.
Delisa?
Aye.
Bartlett?
Aye.
Anna?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Last but not least is...
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Guthrie. Unless you want to donate it to something. No, he's gone.
No, he's back, but now he's gone.
Bond format and lot release for Croft Corner.
Yeah, I see that Bruce Wheeler is here. And I thought Lou Levine was going to be here. I don't see him on the call.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
Can I go forward?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, Mark. Hi, other members of the board. I know there's been discussion about the bonding for the subdivision being a tri-party agreement. I wasn't present and party for it, but I did speak to Bruce and Maren. Bruce indicates to me that he can't go forward with a tri-party agreement because his financial arrangements don't permit it with his lender. So what we're proposing is a bond. I think, as the board's aware, 81U, 4181U provides for 4 mechanisms for bonding. The first one, release of lots and bonding. The first one is a bond. Then the other three are a covenant, cash, and a tri-party agreement is actually the fourth one. So the bond historically was listed as first. It doesn't make it better than the other three, but it is listed. We've submitted a form bond to Moran. We would ask the board allow that upon approval of the form of the bond and any revisions requested by town council, that the planning board accept the bond, whereupon in exchange for the bond from the surety company and the insurance company, lots would be released. That's where we are tonight.
Okay. Maren, have we sent it off to town council?
I'm sorry if this comes out as a little frustrated. The planning board has reviewed the bond amount, the bonding amount, and approved lot release based on a tri-party agreement to be approved by town council. Now we have the new information that the developer is asking instead for this surety bond or a bond in place from a bonding company. Town council has not reviewed the bond form itself. I was hoping for input from the planning board members on this. Would be the first time that the town accepts this type of bond for a subdivision. So the base course of pavement was supposed to go down today. I did not have a chance to go by the site to see if that happened or not. So the amount of work that they have completed is significant. So the town there's not significant exposure for the town. It's just, I find it, town council figured it would be difficult to enforce the bond if we needed to. It might be expensive for the town to enforce the bond. But Mass General Law does, as Lou said, Mass General Law does allow for this type of bond to be used.
And so just a little history for everybody, since I've been there long enough to see a couple of bonds. Normally, the old days, it was cash. We got a check. We got a passbook loan. Then we went to the tri-party agreement probably about 8 or 10 years ago. And after speaking with Maren, this is kind of we're using an insurance company, a bonding company, instead of actually a tri-party agreement. So we have to make sure that town council is comfortable with everything. The bond is actually going to be, since this is the first one we've ever done this way. So I would recommend that we send everything off to town council, make sure they're okay with it, and then as Maren said, it's allowed by law. So we just want to make sure that the town is protected, and once we get that assurance from town council, we can agree to move forward with the numbers that everybody, Green and the developers, agreed to. So until we get the answer back from town council, I think we just move it forward to them and wait for his approval. Maybe him and Lou talk together, make sure everybody's on the same page, and then we'll do the bond and we'll release the lots. Is that all right, Lou?
That's perfect. We didn't expect the lots to be released tonight. We just purely expected you to send it to town council, have them review it, and then make sure the town/town council is satisfied.
Okay, great. So we'll send it off, and Maren obviously will be in touch.
Okay, one other thing that Maren had mentioned to me when we were discussing the bond while I'm here tonight with Bruce, there's some open space associated with the subdivision, and it was the intent, according to Maren, that would be taken, deeded, or whatever to the town. Maren indicates to me the town doesn't want to take it because it's an isolated small parcel. And what she asked me, and I spoke to Bruce earlier today, is if the homeowners association would agree to take over the responsibility for maintaining the homeowners association. And Bruce is willing to have the homeowners association, with the permission of the planning board, given that the town doesn't want to take the open space, to include that responsibility in the homeowners association to maintain the open space.
Does the board have any problem with that? It's basically a buffer around correct me if I'm wrong, the back in the corner of the lot, protecting the neighbors that are behind it. Maureen's going to show it to us. There it is.
Yep, Foster Street here, the new subdivision roadway coming in there in the circle, the lots all the way around, and the open space around the back and the sides of it. When the town meeting, when the request went to the town administrator's office to add this to the town meeting warrant, the question came back, who's going to care and watch over this property? Conservation staff reviewed it, and it's certainly not something that they would have the time or manpower to do. So the question did come back from town administrator's office. Why would the town look to accept the parcel?
Okay. So does board have any issue with leaving it as part of the homeowners association? Anna, do you have any problem with that?
I only have a quick question. So if it's left with the homeowners association, does that mean it is private open space, or is it still accessible to the public?
Maureen, I'm not familiar with the decision. Does the decision say it's publicly accessible?
If I remember correctly, it does. We can check. So I would suggest, if the planning board's interested in having the homeowners association maintain the open space, that we leave the accessibility requirement the same. If it was publicly accessible before, that it stay publicly accessible no matter who maintains it. That would be my recommendation.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
Could I ask a question on that land? If it's publicly accessible, would there be a mechanism for the homeowners association to be required to keep it, say, free of invasives, or specifics about the maintenance?
Mm-hmm. Now would be the time to identify those requirements. Yeah.
Well, Maureen requested, and the developer is willing to take over the maintenance of the homeowners association. I would, again, we're happy to do it. I don't want to create additional criteria, for the maintenance that wasn't in the decision, implicit in the decision. At this point in time, I'm not trying to give the board a hard time, but unless, again, I'm not familiar, but I don't think there was any of that requirements if the town took it over. It was just taking over the open space and taking conveyance of it. So I don't know, why is the invasives a particular issue if it's open space? That's something that I'm not, I've done a lot of these, and I've never heard that before.
Well, it's a long, narrow strip of what's going to look like no man's land. It's outside of the property of the homeowners, and it's adjacent to other properties. And I think there really should be some form of maintenance that's actually identified.
Well, that creates, burdens that I'm not, Bruce is willing to, consider. I'd be happy to discuss with Maren, but there's one thing to take over the general maintenance, tree falls down and stuff like that.
Wait till tomorrow.
Excuse me?
So I've heard it suggested that if the homeowners association is responsible for it, then perhaps that helps keep the homeowners from dumping their grass clippings on the open space. So between dumping the grass clippings and some sort of, I want to say simple, but some sort of invasives species maintenance, perhaps we can come up with some simple wording that we both can agree to.
Yeah,
We
I
can
would-
all agree to.
Can we then, can I work this, or attempt to work this through with Maureen in the next few weeks? And like Maureen suggests, come up to a acceptable, mutually acceptable, maintenance standard that's, that the planning board hopefully will accept and be reasonable for the homeowners to enforce. So could we table this until we work or attempt to work this through with Maureen?
That would be fine. Thank you.
Okay, okay, all right.
All right.
Nice seeing you again, Mark. Take it easy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. We're done? Sorry about that. You guys lost me for a minute or two. Anyway. All right, are we pretty much done?
So I didn't have anything else.
So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn till July 1st. Or we'll see you all at town meeting, by the way. You're all gonna be there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
Do we need to do a signature authorization?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Gee.
We started that discussion.
Oh, yeah. How do you want to handle it? Do you want me to continue to do it like we have been, or do you want Bartlett to do it? I mean, I don't care. I get stuff.
Yeah, you know what the standard bills are and then
Yeah.
standard payroll is, so.
I'll continue with Bartlett. It's not.
Okay. All right.
Lucia sends it to me all the time. I look them over and then DocuSign them, so we should be good. Why don't we just leave it the way it is, Myron?
Okay.
Great.
Myron, did the Jordan's furniture stuff that you had on the last bill, did it finally show up?
That's where I need to go shopping. Huh?
Anyway, well, thank you all. See you all at town meeting.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Okay. Good night.
All right, thanks.